Never fronted. Never fronted. The introverted extrovert, but I hold a stoic composure. I'm known to test the limits of general leader soldiers. And every spraying mind of a lion mane on my shoulders. A man's best friend is either loyal or cold shoulders. I ain't no dog chasing the balls and the sticks apart and I'm pissed. It's hit or miss, you got one time to throw it and blow it before it's over. It's nice to know ya. Lions don't chase sticks, we turn and chase the thrower. No pause, rewind it, or fast forward disorder. I've been in this remote position, I control it. Keep pressing and lifting beams, psychology interests me. I typically preach fundamentals like gospel ministry, speaking in tongues literally. Charge spirits like batteries on a charge of real power, not gossip energy. Vampires dying in misery. The black heart king, the sun is lit with me. That's an epiphany.
Audible H1N1. Rappers calling me, asking me where I get my pens from. Gym star, master verbal gymnastics, acrobatics on the page with the pen has been actress. Phonics. Leg acid onto your DNA, transform you to a better rapper. The mic clapper, there shall be none after. No fan base, cause that makes me a rapper's rapper. Little bit of J, little bit of Nas, little bit of Ye, little bit of K-Flow like Bruce Leroy. Got that soul glow, keep us bopping like a yo-yo. You ain't catch it, grab a GoPro, rewind it back. Study that, non-fiction, I just give the facts. All you rappers quit lying, adjusting facts. I'm the realest one running, adjust to that. Debated, disputed, hated, loved, and underrated for complicated, diabolical rhymes. I know haters secretly keep me in the playlist. I'm radioactive, rappers need a J-list. To come around me, share booth and labels hate this. Cause when I collab, everyone has to face this. Dr. McNamara, Nip Tuck, giving facelifts. More explosive than an Elon Musk spaceship. Da Vinci, Michelangelo, but I'm living greatness. Can't paint pictures, here I am, trace this. Audible H1N1. Rappers calling me, asking me where I get my pens from. Gym star, master verbal gymnastics, acrobatics on the page with the pen has been actress. Phonics. Audible H1N1. Rappers calling me, asking me where I get my pens from. Gym star, master verbal gymnastics, acrobatics on the page with the pen has been actress. Phonics. Audible H1N1. Rappers calling me, asking me where I get my pens from. Gym star, master verbal gymnastics, acrobatics on the page with the pen has been actress. Phonics.
Home sweet home. Welcome to Pensacola, Florida. Tough little SOB, isn't he? That's me a few years back. Funny how things changed. God, I miss those ghetto car shows. Living in the hood, man, that was a highlight. Living out here wasn't all bad, but there were many moments I had to be tough. No one messed with me on my block, though. I wasn't about to be pushed around by no one. I just wanted more. I can remember a time when I was just trying to figure out what type of man I wanted to be. I love poetry, and well, since my granddad played the piano in church, I had to test out my skills every now and then.
You should respect this Muliano, my Pisano, got my back like a spine, no Donnie Brasco, the desperado, crack your head with a bottle.
Maybe my style was a bit too real for church, but looking at my granddad proved I'm good at this thing called music, but wasn't my true calling. When I wasn't in church, I played ball. If you were the best, you played on 17th and Blunt. I'm not trying to brag, but your boy was pretty decent. I figured I could go pro with this. You know the age-old saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him what you got planned, right? Knee surgery wasn't going to stop me, I said. I can play for the Tampa Bay Bucks, I said. But you get the point. When I was laying there hurt, hearing the doc say, Mike, you need another knee surgery. That's when I kind of felt something change inside of me. Sports, as much as I enjoyed it, was no longer in my plans, professionally anyway. But I knew deep down what my true calling was. So now what? Now, I join the military and meet the #1 lady in my life, hip-hop. Intellect was not a name that I personally came up with. I used to go by Mike D, which is also somebody from the Beastie Boys, and my friends would tell me that you gotta change your name. And we used to play this game called the word game in the car when we drive around. So me and some friends of mine were driving around town one day playing the word game. And one of my friends was like, hey man, he's like, why do you always have to be so intellectual with your rhymes or try to sound like you need to express your vocabulary all day? And somebody else said, that's your name, Intellect. And then that kind of stuck with me.
So I met Mike as a patient of mine when we were both stationed at MacDill. And he came through and he had a set of problems that he needed to have worked on, and we're talking and we have a small chat, and he's like, yo, by the way, I'm an artist, you know, I write stuff, you know, I do music. And I was just like, all right, cool, great, you do music, so do I, you know, I'm a DJ. He's like, yo, you're a DJ. I'm like, yo, you're an artist. Like, okay, next. And he's like, no, for real. I'm like, well, okay, what kind of vibe are you into? And he starts going like, you know, neo soul, hip hop, lyricism, things of that nature. And all of a sudden it's like, you can't be serious. So I'm like, yo, you got anything? You got anything that I could hear? And he's like, yeah, I got some stuff, and if you want to meet up later, we could talk about it, and I could let you hear some of my stuff, and you just tell me what you think. And so from there, from the jump, I'm like, lyricism, hip hop, bars, you know what I mean? Strategic placement, storytelling, neo soul. These are all the things that matter versus the littles, syrup, littles, lean, littles. You know, I just couldn't do it anymore. So that was about maybe 8 years ago.
The places I was able to travel for the government exposed me to so much more music that I never would have heard on the radio, and I got an appreciation for everybody else's appreciation of the music that I was into, and let me know that I felt like I could probably walk down that path.
The civilian world, when you're in the military, they try to almost make you feel like everybody looks at you in awe. They do not. They don't think twice about you. They don't even know, you know, you go in and you say, well, why did 15 years in the army or 10 years in the Marine? All right, okay, there's the hammer, there's the shovel, lunch is at 12, see you later. So while you're in the military, they do give you chances to go to school, to better yourself, to get certain trades, certificates, learning. Take all of it with you, because you're gonna need it when you get out.
Well, here's the thing. It is very difficult, and that's the reason why my brother and I started XG Productions. We found that the worlds are very far apart, government service and the entertainment industry, whatever variety. And so what we did was we formed this company so that we could be a hub for other people who have incredible experience either in the military or the federal government or law enforcement at the highest levels, to transition, to tell their stories, so that what we see on the media, in entertainment about law enforcement and the military becomes more authentic. That's our goal, to bring authenticity. And because so many of us have lived our lives on sort of the edge, like Mike, we can tell stories like no other people can.
I guess the best way to describe my sound is
Enlightenment, period, point blank, enlightenment.
LECT is engaged.
Innovative.
There are trends in all genres of music, almost all the ones that are popular, where it doesn't seem like message matters or depth. And music used to attract some superficiality, some short-sighted, live for the moment, have fun, see Sex and Sun, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, got it. But there was always another equally strong, and sometimes I would say stronger, at least in terms of proportion, of artists that were looking for depth, that were celebrating the human spirit, that were fighting for certain causes, that were trying to leave a thought or something for people to chew on.
A lot of the lyricism in hip hop is a lot of stories, whether it be, even if it's fabricated or even if it's really something that really happened to somebody. I don't mind that. People like to be entertained and people can connect to these stories. But when it's just money, women, and cars, okay, then what happens after that? But there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of things to be said. And I think there's a lot of creative people, Intellect being one of them for sure at the top of the list, that is being courageous enough, trying to put forth good stories, good messages, as well as good entertainment.
A whole bunch of different emotions. When I'm sitting there waiting, I'm calm. About 2 minutes before I go on, I feel the rush, right? The adrenaline, and you feel the nervousness. I step on stage, and everybody's quiet, and it's peace, and then the music comes on. Say what? If it were a drug, I would overdose on it, because you have a bunch of strangers, some of which have no idea who you are, where you come from, never heard your music before, anticipating every single word that you might utter, and they're curious just as much as they will the enjoyment.
When dealing with Mike and storytelling and his artistry, his lyricism as a whole, as its entirety, I particularly like when he uses different adjectives and different verbs and starts playing around with the syllables and making like 3 or 4 syllables all like coincide and rhyme together, kind of like the M style, things of that nature. Because to me, yeah, you can always like rhyme, but it's different when you're rhyming and you're strategically creating a pattern that causes people to go, wait, whoa, what was that? Let me go back, let me rewind it again.
Step in my biosphere, cataclysm, your hemisphere. Doomsday and hip-hop, I burn ionospheres. World premiere, LECT is here, let's be clear. This promo for Primo's got the industry saying beware. Lexus tsunami crashing over the beach. Tectonic plate shifting, this poet is deep. Earth-shattering delivery, moving under your feet. Till your MC stumble and mumble over your beat.
He is a bit of a throwback in terms of musical taste, aspirations. I happen to think that's a plus, not necessarily a bad thing. And he has depth, and like I said, he's engaged in his message. So I don't think you can go wrong with that. What is it? So I find that, and it's not necessarily his music, it's the way that he is as a human being. There's a certain sense of inevitability with Intellect. So, and I think that comes from everything he's gone through. He doesn't have the luxury of wasting time and considering other things. It's my favorite quote that Will Smith said when he talks about his success. He says his dad told him, forget about plan B, it's all about plan A. And I think I sensed that approach, which is probably very forged in the military kind of thing, like this is the course of action, there's only one way out and this is going to happen because that's it. And he's put his mind to it, and everything is unfolding, and there's the same sense of inevitability in his delivery, in the way that he speaks, and so that's why I expect success for him.
I'll tell you a recent challenge. I was at a showcase about a week ago with a label that I won't name, and they had a bunch of artists there, and everybody came there and did their art. Some of it was good, some of them needed to brush up, but everybody came there and had the intestinal and for men testicular fortitude to get on stage and do their thing. So I went up there and did my 2 records. And I would say that the entire venue rocked. I didn't even know. I had people telling me that the entire venue rocked. And they had nothing negative to say about the music. A hip-hop showcase, and told me that I would not get signed because I was, I quote, real hip-hop. That is probably one of the best compliments I have ever had in my life. But one of the biggest insults I've ever had in my life at the same time.
You're trying to go behind Lil Mook Mook to impart some knowledge on somebody? Nobody trying to hear that. Everybody trying to hear, you know, they only trying to hear trick. They only trying to hear where them dollars at, you know what I'm saying? Somebody, what are you doing to glorify yourself and belittle the community at the same time? Message. That's not what they're saying out loud, but they're trying to hear the person that's glorifying themselves and bringing down the community. They want to hear the D-boy, they want to hear that trap boy, they want to hear about that trap, they want to hear about cats that have made it out that was just like them. And there's also cats like us that made it out that was just like them.
I never saw a lack of confidence in him. Yes, we've talked, had many conversations about the frustration of the things he's trying to get across and the things that he's trying to say. And of course, it's not in vogue maybe right now to a certain level, but I told him there's many layers to music and there's many layers to what somebody considers success or being a successful artist. And so I think we're already, to me, successful artists already. And there is an avenue, there is a lane for us for people to hear our music. But so yeah, I mean, yeah, I've dealt with those frustrations with him where he's, but he never changes it. He never waters it down. He never dumbs it down. He never says I'm going to do it like everybody else does it. He sticks to his game plan, and we get the job done.
Labels want, again, I quote, make a hook that sounds like a nursery rhyme. I do not have the intellectual capacity to dumb down my music that much. And I refuse to, because I refuse to sell myself short for $1.
Hip-hop ain't dance, opposite of a funeral. Resurrect myself, treat you all like a urinal. I'm pissed off, piss on everything that they beautiful. Mobile rap, boom, back, bang, willing, twist that. I'm a beast, I'm a monster, I will go through, I will haunt it. Back this way, back this summer, I will slaughter all the toxic hip-hop spots such as on. Crossing you were gone, I know what's stronger, can't go longer, baby, take for whom I wanna. Raining like an anthem, the air pops. I need a moment, maybe I should let this mic drop.
If you ask me, is the industry ready for a vet? Why not? We're ready for everything else. There's way too many littles to count. I keep saying littles because that's all it is right now. If you look at the Uzis, the Yachties, the Verdi's, there's just so many littles. Even Wayne's like, older now. He's still little. Like, there's way too much stuff going on right now in the industry, especially the hip hop community as it is. So you mean to tell me that we're going to segregate ourselves from a vet that's a war-torn vet, that's seen destruction, demolition, and that's actually brave enough to talk about it? A lot of us have seen destruction, demolition, and violence, and death, and everything else. We just choose to try to suppress it. So those brave individuals that are willing to take a stand on that pedestal, let the limelight shine on them, be ridiculed, be questioned, everything else, and still choose to share their variation of PTSD with the world? Who would shun that?
There is life after service.
It's hard for anyone to have a full-time job, regardless of what the full-time job is, and do enough, have enough time, resources, to put into the passion that you love to really make an impact. I've always said, the minute I call this thing a hobby, I'm pretty much going to stop. It can't be a hobby. There still has to be a dream for me. There still has to be something I'm searching to do, something I'm trying to get to. But in today's world in the military, they're constantly being deployed for 6 months at a time here, or over here, or away from their family, and this and that. It's very hard to just even maintain a normal, stable life, never even mind trying to build a career outside of what your main job is in the military. It's hard. And I don't see a lot of support coming from the military when you're active duty. And I don't see any workshops when you leave that supports the arts.
Get you a $1 mechanical pencil and start writing everything you feel down. Listen to music from everywhere, your favorite artists you never heard of. Listen to what they talk about, how they talk about it. If you hear a piece of music that moves you, even if it's to your favorite song that's already out and it moves you and a story comes through you to say something, find the instrumental or turn it down to where you can barely hear the vocals because you hear the beat and the bass line, and write that story, right? And then go find you a producer or somebody that makes beats to see if they can make something that sounds like that, and just start there, right? But do something. Don't just sit idle and don't do nothing. If you want to get in it, get in it. There's nobody to tell you how to do it, when you got to do it, what you're supposed to do. And this is just one piece of advice from, one of a million people in the world that are trying to make it in the music industry. So my biggest piece of advice to you is write down how you feel. If you don't want to write it down, you got an iPhone, Android phone, open up a notepad in your phone and type it. Whatever you got to do to get the thoughts out of your head and put it down. And then after you put it down, and if it's to a piece of music, say it. Even if it's to yourself, say it. And don't be afraid to share it, because everybody's not going to like what you do. Everybody's sure as hell ain't going to like what you have to say, right? But if it's real and it's you, people have no choice but to respect it. And to me, that's the most important thing, right? Just be yourself, command your own respect, and people that like it, they will follow, they will gravitate toward it, whether it's one or whether it's 1 million. But that's just the story of one veteran. Now,
wait, damn.
It's all good.
I completely spelled that the wrong way.
It's all good.
All right.
Yo, but orders don't forget nothing, cause I done been here since 69, y'all. 69.
I need some of what you're drinking.
It's called life. It's the beauty of it. You're just blessed, man.
And we just started singing the old Negro spirituals. Soon as very soon, we are going to see the King.
Now what I'm going to get you to do is, if you can, not get blinded by your light in the background.
Yes.
You can look at him and
now do it again, the same thing, but with feelings.
No, you put some feelings in it. I was feeling
I can't help.
You see somebody like Mike comes through with stage presence, an extra medium shirt and a hat to the back. I say it's medium. It is what it is. And he comes in and he takes it. Shout out to Mike. Yeah. Gets his LL on, FUBU. And then he starts talking about whatever he needs to talk to, and every vein starts popping out in his arms while he's talking to the crowd, and everybody's like listening, but they're not listening because they're just thinking FUBU.
I told you came to drink, you getting in. Been a while since I told like that. It's the big D so put a bar to your back.
He raps?
Yes, he raps.
Oh shit. Thanks for telling me.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.